Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig. Of course, the Brian Craig Show podcast brought to you by Jupiter Joe Thomas. Give him a call. Talk to him about annuities at 561-743-0999. Okay, we have a lot to cover. Holy smokes, do we have a lot to cover. This is such a great time. There's so much winning going on with President Trump. And today, Letitia James went to court. She entered a not guilty plea, and she came out of the courtroom and looked terrified. I'm going to play this for you in a minute. We'll talk about it. But Letitia James is scared beyond imagination right now because she's guilty. And she knows she's guilty, and she's gotten busted. This is Letitia James coming out of the courtroom.
But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge and a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law.
Okay, now, Letitia James, and she's not the only one. We got Comey, and with this, and they're both using the same defense. If you remember, when Letitia James was running for New York State Attorney General, she ran on the campaign promise, vote for me, I'm going to sue Trump. And she did just that. And, these lawfare cases, and there's a long line of people that are going to be indicted. We've only just begun with the indictments, and that's coming from the Justice Department. The thing about these lawfare indictments, Letitia James and Comey, each one of them is trying to make it all about them. Oh, he's just coming after me because I was doing no. They had President Trump in how many court cases? How many times did they arrest him? Twice in New York. They had that Miami case. And the only reason President Trump is not in prison right now is because he won re-election. Everybody knows this, right? They had weaponized the justice system against President Trump. They were trying to stop him from coming back to the White House. Everyone knows this. This is why they did it. If he would not have run again and would have retired, which he could have done, or dropped out of the race at any particular time, none of these cases would have happened. And when they realized that the lawfare was failing, it was making him more and more popular, that he was going to get reelected and they couldn't do anything about it, that's when they shot him in Butler. And then when that didn't work out in their favor, because he survived it, they tried to do it again a few weeks later at the golf course. So, and now we've had two more attempts on the president this week. A week ago today, they found a sniper's nest in a tree with a line of sight to where Air Force One parks at the Palm Beach International Airport. Then a couple days ago, someone crashed their car on purpose into the front gate of the White House trying to get in. And of course, we've had the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and there's violence going on in American cities, all from the left. All of this violence is 100% from the left. And if you've noticed, have you noticed in the last couple of weeks, you're not hearing liberals call me or talk at all about, there's the study that the majority of the violence comes from the right, which is a false study, false data and lies. They've dropped that because even the hardcore liberals couldn't get that. Bringing these lawfare people to justice is so important. Now, I will tell you this. We're not going to get convictions with all of them. A lot of these, they're going through the federal the federal court system. Federal judges are presidential appointments. So, these federal judges are all political people, all of them. How do you think you get a presidential appointment? You're connected politically. So, these judges, Many of them think that the president of the United States operates underneath them, that they're somehow have supervisory authority over the president of the United States. Some of these cases are going to get tossed, or the prosecutors will get rulings against them. Don't worry about the day-to-day with these cases. I'm not going to be following the day-to-day, and you should not either, because there's going to be a lot of ups and downs and everything else. It's the end result in the next 2 to 3 years where we are then. Then we'll look back and reflect. But we're not going to win all these cases. The judges are too political. They're too partisan. And it's really a shame. I got to wonder, if you've ever read, this is an interesting thing that's going on. We're really learning so much about how corrupt the American system of government is, right? In the last 10 years since President Trump came down the escalator. If you've ever read or any of the interviews that came in the late 1800s, early 20th century from slaves, there's a lot of writings about slaves that there was a time when children who were slaves would find out and understand that they were a slave, and it usually was between the ages of 10 and 11. They would find out and realize they were a slave. It's pretty sad, and it really is. That's a sad thing. We've kind of realized that. In the last 10 years, we've had a revelation like that this country is not a free country. We thought this was a free country. We thought it was a democratic republic. We thought it was we thought these things. But what we found out, and this is why there's been so much lawfare against Trump, there's been an illusion of freedom in this country. And our justice system was 100% weaponized against President Trump, because President Trump is the only president in any of our lifetimes, and probably in the history of the United States presidency, who's not a part of the political establishment or not someone they were able to get under control. And the whole thing with the dossier, the fake Russian dossier, the Russian dossier, which was not only 100% false, what the Christopher Steele Russian dossier alleged is so absurd. I'll just mention it quickly. I do from time to time because it's often talked about, but the absurdity of it isn't. What the Russian dossier said was this, that President Trump visited Moscow for the Miss Universe pageant when he owned the Miss Universe pageant, and he hated Obama so much, he rented the hotel room that Obama stayed in when he was in Moscow, hired Russian prostitutes, and some perverted things happened, which I'm not going to detail right now, in the hotel room, and that Putin had all of this on video, which was blackmail material. That's what the dossier said. It's completely absurd, right? And Comey took that dossier to President Trump at Trump Tower when he was president-elect the first time, dropped it on his desk, and said, we can either investigate this or it can go away. And it was an extortion attempt by Comey on President-elect Trump to try to get him to play ball. He said, get out of here. And then eventually he fired him. And that's that. That's what that dossier was all about. And remember, Christopher Steele gave the dossier to John McCain, who gave it to Comey. So that's when the lawfare began. And of course that ridiculous, absurd dossier was commissioned and paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign. So it's so ridiculous. And because they thought they could get control of him. And we all of us have known who Donald Trump is I've known who he is most of my life, but we didn't really know him like we know now, right? We got to know him very, very well in the first campaign, and we all know him very well now. And they just assumed because he was famous and a billionaire his whole life, right? Rich and famous his whole life, that they would be able to find some dirt on him. And they searched and they searched. They couldn't find anything. That's why they put the wiretap on Trump Tower during the first campaign. They couldn't find anything. They went through all the Page 6 gossip columns from the New York Post. They interviewed people. I remember they even went and found a hustler, nude pinup girl that he had gone out with and had sex with. They went and interviewed her, trying to find her. She said she gave him, when he was single, by the way, that happened. He wasn't married. That was between wives. She did nothing but compliment everything about him. They couldn't find anything on him. So they put the wiretap on Trump Tower. I think that's where they found out about the Access Hollywood tape, but they found nothing. So the Clinton campaign made up that absurd dossier. They couldn't get him under control. And even still, as we speak today, at this very moment in time, they're still fighting him on pettiness. They just can't accept that there's someone that's not a part of the permanent political class or someone under their control in the White House. I mean, look at these meltdowns they're having over the ballroom that he's building. He tore down the East Room of the White House. I guess he tore down the whole East Wing now. If you've seen it, and he's replacing it. I was watching online today the artist renderings of this ballroom. It is I'm not talking about just the inside. I'm talking about outside. I saw an image of the ballroom today that shows it connected to the White House and what it's going to look like. It's huge. It's huge, and it's going to be beautiful and majestic, and presidents are going to use it for hundreds of years to come. And this morning, I was talking to a caller on the show this morning. We were talking about, maybe as soon as the next presidential election, the Democrat nominee is going to be running on the promise to tear down that ballroom. It is so big and beautiful, they're not going to be able to tear it down. It is massive, and it's going to be so beautiful. But look at, what a petty thing they're giving him a hard time about is this ballroom that he is funding privately through his own money, as well as his own donor money, as well as his own money, and they're trying to create all these things. They're never going to leave Trump alone. Not only are they, I'm telling you, they will never leave this man alone. They will not leave him alone for the rest of his life. And when he passes, if the Democrats are in control 50 years from now, when Donald Trump passes, they will not allow him to have a presidential funeral. They will not allow him to lie in state and all that stuff. They'll object to it. And that 50 years, they're gonna be after him even when he's no longer on this earth. And there's a lot of reasons for it. Although the Democrat Party may not be around anymore at that time. They're on the verge of collapse right now. So let me play this again with Letitia James, and then we'll talk about it. And this was right after she came out of the courthouse pleading not guilty for her crimes.
But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge.
Isn't this nuts? If you look at the whole history of Letitia James with President Trump, I believe she did what she did. I think that somebody promised her she'd be the attorney general or the governor or something, right? They promised her that she'd get elevated beyond her position. But if you look at the entire Trump-Letitia James history, she keeps accusing President Trump of doing what she's done, right? Right now, she's accusing him of lawfare when she's the lawfare person, right? She was like the first lawfare person with her ridiculous charges and claims, right? But then what did she charge him with? Mortgage fraud, which is what she's been accused of doing multiple times her whole adult life. She keeps accusing him of doing and being what she is and what she's doing.
This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. And a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law.
Okay, I don't know what all that they're saying back there, all of her fans, but, and like I said, I have low expectations for some of these judges because some of these judges overseeing these cases were appointed by Biden and Obama. I'm sure there's some Clinton judges around. But, this ballroom we're talking about, sometimes I wonder, are these high-profile, famous liberals, are they completely delusional about the ballroom and the money that was raised to pay for it? Or are they knowingly lying? As an example, let me share this. This is Joy Reid talking about the ballroom.
We have all of that money. We have available money to do all those kinds of things, but not for your health care. We had the money to make the tax cuts for billionaires.
Okay, now you notice this. This is why I played this clip. We had the money for the tax cuts for billionaires. Why do you think she said billionaires? I'll tell you in a minute when I'm done playing the clip.
We have all of that money. We have available money to do all those kinds of things, but not for your health care. We had the money to make the tax cuts for billionaires permanent, so they get them forever. We had that money, and we had the money to do this to your White House, but no money for you. No money for food stamps. People are going to run out of food stamps. Those are not going to be renewed. That's going to create a crisis of hunger across this country. We have no money for that. No money for food stamps. No money to pay federal workers. We're going to fire and lay off federal workers. No money to pay the TSA agents keeping you safe or the air traffic controllers to make sure your planes don't crash. No money for that. But we have money for this? Make it make sense. Is that how you want your money used? Is this what you voted for? Because if this is making America great again, we need to stop making America great again, because I'm exhausted. Morally and physically and mentally exhausted.
Okay. So by the way, this is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. The Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. Just go to any podcast platform, Spotify, wherever you, Apple Pod, wherever you get your podcast, and search for The Brian Craig Show. I'll pop right up. If you want to catch the show live and call in and see the video version, go to YouTube or YouTube Music and search The Brian Craig Show. My channel will pop up. And you can catch the podcast live on YouTube. Joy Reid, I played this clip because I wanted to point something out. If you notice, Joy Reid and many of these other liberals, they keep talking about tax cuts for billionaires. Have you noticed that? It's always tax cuts for billionaires. Why do you think that is? You know why? Because they're millionaires. Joy Reid is a multi-millionaire. So millionaires aren't bad because she's a millionaire, right? So she's got to go after the billionaires. But if I were involved in a debate or an interview with Joy Reid, there's only one question I would ask her. What do you think would be the one question that I would ask Joy Reid? What do you guys think? I'm in a debate with her or I'm in an interview situation with her. There's only one question that I would ask Joy Reid. What do you think that question would be? I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to troll for call. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll get the calls in a bit. You know what my question to her would be? Do you take the Trump tax cuts that were just made permanent in the big, beautiful bill? And you know what? All these Trump derangement syndrome suffered multimillionaires like Joy Reid and the rest, they do take the Trump tax cuts. Of course they do. Of course they do. My goodness. Now, if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call, no matter where you are listening. All right, I'll take a call or two. Then we'll take a break. We'll get to some more out there. But I love how all of a sudden millionaires aren't villains. It's only the billionaires, right? Yeah. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Barnes from Birmingham, Alabama.
Hey, Birmingham. What's on your mind?
Okay, here's the message Trump needs to get out there. If the Dems don't vote to reopen the government, we have to look out for the people and divert money from agencies already funded to make sure eligible WIC and SNAP recipients are paid. It's that simple. Put the heat on them.
Well, I think, I'll tell you, I believe that most people, this Schumer shutdown thing has caught on. I think most people, because the shutdown has been going on for a while now, And the mainstream media have no juice. People don't believe them. People are getting their news and information from the people like me. So I think most people understand that the food stamps and other things are not being funded come November 1st because of the Democrats. But the WIC, President, that, the WIC goes for for the mothers, for the baby formula and stuff. The president covered the WIC with the tariff money. So the WIC was funded with the tariff money. Now the SNAP benefits are food stamps, EBT. I don't know about that, but they did use the tariff to pay for the WIC. That was in the news a week or so ago.
I'm just saying, this is our way of getting the leverage over them.
I think we have the leverage. I think they're like deposed. I mean, we're really seeing something that I never expected to happen. That's one of the two major parties fading away to non-existence. The Democrat Party, who's their leader right now? Mamdani? Who? Governor Pritzker in Illinois? They have no leader. Think about that.
As long as we don't cave, we've got this.
Yeah. And things are going well. Hey, I appreciate the call. All right, from Birmingham, Alabama. I want to talk to you guys about George Colony. He just joined the program. He's a new sponsor of the program, both on the radio and on my podcast and YouTube channel. And he's a real estate agent. If you are in the state of Florida, you want to call George Colony, or if you're someone from out of state thinking of moving to Florida, a lot of New Yorkers thinking of moving to Florida, no matter what type of real estate, residential, commercial real estate, whatever, he is really not your average real estate agent. I've been talking about this. I know people will take offense at this, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Most people that you've dealt with real estate agents aren't professional money people or even real estate people. When you're buying a home, no matter what size home, whether it's a condo or you're buying an office space or you're buying your single family, whatever you're buying, for most people, buying their home is the largest investment that they will ever make in their life. And you go to a real estate agent to negotiate a deal, to find you the right house and handle the whole transaction. What are their qualifications when it comes to such a big financial decision? Most real estate agents around are people that are bartenders on the weekends, or maybe they were a bartender last week, or they worked at Chili's, or they had a job at the mall, and then they decide, well, let me get my real estate license. And that's just the way it is. And you're making the largest financial decision of your life with somebody that has no business background. They have no money background. They really don't even have any real estate background. And, we've got a recorded commercial that's running. You'll hear it with George Colony himself. And he says, people often ask, when's the right time to buy and when is the right time to sell real estate? And George Colony, he says, it's always the right time if you have the right advisor. And of course, that's George Colony. Listen to this. He has over 6 decades of experience in real estate and business. He specializes in every facet of residential and commercial real estate, from industrial and office spaces to retail, tenant representation, and of course, your own private home or condo. He has been involved in transactions of buying and selling over $5 billion in real estate. You heard that right, over $5 billion in real estate. He's founder of an 8-figure business. He understands the market here in Florida. He'll give you straight talk. He'll give you expert advice. Give him a call. This number rings directly to George Colony's cell phone. And I met him through Tom Laporta from Laporta Roofing, introduced us to each other. His number is 954-801-7320. Again, this is George Colony's direct cell phone. You call, he'll answer. 954-801-7320. That's 954-801-7320. Give him a call. All right, we're going to take a quick break. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be right back.
Have you ever wondered what makes Earth people so fascinating? Then tune into the podcast K-Earth with host Melanie Ursig. Melanie is a psychologist, therapist, and author of the book Welcome to Earth, available on Amazon and Audible. K-Earth covers an array of human customs and cultures, blending humor, heart, and insight to help align both your health and your life. Start with episode 1, The Cow Whisperers, and you will be hooked. Share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can tune in too. K-Earth, available right now on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and YouTube. Discover the joy, the gritty reality, and the humor of being human with K-Earth.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Kai's Real Estate. I've been in business for 6 decades. People often ask me, what's the right time to buy or sell real estate? To tell you the truth, it's always the right time. You just need to have the right advice from the right advisor. You could call me anytime because I answer my phone on the first ring. My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number. And I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
Life moves fast. Some days it's all you can do just to keep up. Between errands, appointments, and caring for the people who matter most. That's where On-Call Personal Services come in. On-Call Personal Services believe everyone deserves support that feels personal, reliable, and genuinely kind. Whether you need an extra hand around the house, a trusted companion for a loved one, or help managing those little things that make your life run smoothly, On-Call Personal Services is here when you need them the most. From errands and housekeeping to administrative help and respite care, their experienced personal assistants bring peace of mind to you and your family. Every visit is built on trust, delivered with care, and tailored to fit your needs. So take a breath and let On-Call Personal Services help you, because life feels lighter when you've got someone on call. Visit them online at oncallpersonalservices.com or call them directly 407-720-9794, 407-720-9794 to find your personal assistant. OnCallPersonalServices.com, where every visit is tailored with care, built on trust, and designed to bring peace of mind, not just for clients, but for the families who love them. OnCallPersonalServices.com.
All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so that's that. And, there was a press conference at the White House yesterday, and it was really an amazing press conference, and a lot of things came out. And the president was there, Pete Hegseth was there, Pam Bondi was there, and others, including Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard dropped something that just blew my mind. Listen to this. Those of you out there that are never Trumpers, you hate on Trump, you got all these opinions on Trump. President Trump has saved more lives than any single president in history, maybe even any other single man in history, period, with what he's done, with everything he's done, including this. I'm not going to explain what it is. I'm going to let Tulsi Gabbard tell you. Lifelong Democrat, remember, until recently. But here's Tulsi Gabbard talking about something amazing that President Trump did.
The most insidious was providing intelligence to the Mexican law enforcement that led to the arrest of a CJNG cartel-affiliated baby trafficker called La Diabla. Her whole money-making operation was centered around luring pregnant women, performing illegal C-sections, harvesting organs, and selling newborn babies. Mr. President, it's your leadership that has made all of this possible. I can tell you, in the midst of this government shutdown, our folks, like everyone around this table, are working 24/7 without pay and eager to get after this because they believe in your leadership and the mission that you have presented to them. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll hand this off to Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller, the leader.
Okay, now this is insane. That is one of the most, maybe the most horrific thing I've ever heard. It sounds like, the way I described when I first saw this, it sounds like a new Hostel movie. So President Trump stopped this. We knew that there were children and women being trafficked. This is something that I've never heard before until Tulsi Gabbard shared this in this press conference yesterday. So this criminal operation in Mexico would get pregnant women in the caravans on the way to America, and along the way they would stop them. They would give them C-sections and steal their babies and do God knows what with them. And then they would do organ harvesting on the women. Can you think of anything more horrific? I mean, this is serial killer level stuff, but they had an entire industry out of it. And I want you to understand this. If Donald Trump had not been reelected, if Joe Biden was still president, or Kamala would have won the election, or these never-Trumpers were successful in Butler, and Nikki Haley would have maybe become the president. She would have been the Republican nominee. That horrific thing would still be going on. President Trump stopped that. Have you seen this story reported? It was live in the press conference yesterday, so everyone was carrying the press conference, and it was out there. But did they follow up on it? There was all this talk last week that President Trump, who's ended 8 of the 9 wars on the planet, deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. For this alone, he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. I have never heard a story so horrific. That's something out of the worst horror movie ever imagined right there. Like the Human Centipede or something. Some of the most disgusting horror movies ever made would not equal that. I mean, that's... Think about what those people went through, and who knows? Maybe they were doing the organ harvesting even on the children. Would you be surprised? I mean, these are animals, and President Trump stopped that. So I share that because obviously we want people to know what he's done and how bad that this border crisis was. There were so many terrible things going on, criminal, horrific, barbaric atrocities like this. I mean, this story, that is equal. This is a strong statement to make, but that was equal to the horrific stories out of the Holocaust. This is Mengele kind of stuff. Mengele was experimenting on people, and when they gave those women the C-sections and did the organ harvesting, do you think they gave them anesthesia? Do you really think they did? Did they care enough to do that? Doubtful. So, those of you out there that are never Trumpers, that are tearing this president down nonstop about every step he takes, every syllable he utters, what do you say now that you hear something like this? It's insane. It's insane, and that's that kind of thing. We gotta share it because people need to know. But in a way, I almost wish I didn't know. You know what I mean? You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're on hold, hang in there, and if you'd like to call in, you're welcome to. If you're watching live, you can call in. The toll-free number, it's toll-free no matter where you're tuned in from, is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. CNN's been putting out some polls this entire second term. And they're like honest polls. Listen.
Well, Matt was mentioning about the econ playing such an important role in last year's presidential election. The top problem facing the U.S. is economic per Gallup. Last year, look at this, 43% at this time, 43% of Americans said the top problem was economic. Come to this side of the screen. It's just considerably different. We're talking about 24%. We're talking about a drop of near 20 points. And more than that, we're talking about across all of the different political...
Okay, now let me explain this because some of this is visual. It was a Gallup poll, top problem facing the U.S. Economy, and they were talking about inflation. They were asking people about inflation. A year ago this month, 43% of the people they polled in America believe the top problem in the country was inflation. That number's dropped almost 20 points. Only 24% think inflation is the number one economic problem today.
Political groups, right, Democrats, independents, Republicans, we see that the percentage who say the top problem is economic has been falling through the floor. And more than that, you know, we're talking about inflation. The percentage of Americans who say that the top problem is inflation has also been falling, which is, I think, very much surprising given all the news that we are hearing about the economy.
It really is surprising. How does this compare to like the historical look at how people feel about the economy?
Okay, so, you know, let's talk about, we'll go through history, right? Let's take a look. The top problem facing the United States is economic. In the average midterm election, it's 35%. It's 35%. Look at where we are now. Again, it's 24%. It is lower. Fewer Americans right now are saying the top problem is economic than historically have said that the top problem is economic. So it's not only that the top problem being economic is lower than we were at this time last year, it is lower than we have historically been despite all the news about how the economy is supposedly softening. So you just look at these numbers and you just go to yourself, wait a minute, there's something going on here with the American public whereby you're getting all this economic news, but yet the percentage of Americans who say the top problem is economic has actually been falling and is lower than it normally is.
Okay. By the way, is that Julianne Malveaux with her? Is that Jean-Pierre's ex-girlfriend? I don't know. Is that Julianne Malveaux? I'm not sure. Jean-Pierre's ex-girlfriend. You know, this is an amazing thing because one of the most common things that I get calls on consistently from Democrats. Now they're in this ballroom phase right now, but most of the liberals that have been calling me lately, they keep talking about inflation, and most people aren't worried about inflation. And the reason is because, you know, people understand that President Trump, one, understands money in a way that no other politician does, which is what you want, right? You know, another thing about it, not only does he understand money in a way that other presidents and other elected officials don't, they know that he's not in this for personal gain. You know, you look at it's worse with the Democrats, but it's true with the Republicans before Trump. You know, like I mentioned Nikki Haley as an example. When Nikki Haley left the first Trump administration, she was like bankrupt financially. Now she's a millionaire. They made deals with her. All these people get in the government to make money. Here you have President Trump, who not only donates his salary, he's actually paid for the floor tile in this upgrade at the White House with his own money. Right? And the same goes for the ballroom. He's paying for things with his own money, his own personal money. He put up those flagpoles that cost a lot of money too, with his own money. When have you ever seen a president spend their own money on anything? I've heard presidents complain. I've heard both President Carter and his wife and Michelle Obama and Barack complain that they had to pay for the food in the White House. They're like these SNAP people that have been complaining and worried about their EBT cards getting cut off on the 1st of November if the Schumer shutdown continues. They actually complain that they had to buy their own food that they eat. I've seen them both talk. Michelle on her podcast and Jimmy Carter I saw in an interview many, many years ago talking about it. President Trump pays for things out of his own pocket that I've never seen a president do that. On top of that, he's not taking the salary again, just like he did in the first term. So people trust him, and they understand that Biden inflation is going to go away, and he will get everything under control. All right, now if you're on hold, hang in there. I'll get to some calls in a little bit, and again, if you're watching live, the toll-free number is in the chat. But there's some things I want to get to. And so often, and like this morning, I had a ton of stuff to get to, and sometimes I take so many calls, I don't get to 5% of the things I want to share. This one here, you know, one thing, there was a lot of press coverage about President Trump ridding D.C. of crime. They're constantly talking about him going into Chicago and Portland and but they don't talk about what he has done in Memphis. And President Trump actually went into Memphis as part of something the Democrats pointed out, right? Remember when they were arguing against rounding up criminals in D.C.? Remember that? They said, what about the crime in the red states? Well, we were talking about cities. They were talking about states. And inside red states, there are blue cities. But Memphis, Tennessee is a blue city in the red state of Tennessee. And because the Democrats were demanding that President Trump send in the federal forces and the Guard into a red state, he did, and blue Memphis, Tennessee. And look what's happened here. 1,457 arrests, 274 illegal guns seized, 81 missing children have been located, and 113 gang members arrested. 81 missing children have been located. Look at that. That's Memphis, Tennessee. And, you know, I haven't seen any press coverage out of Memphis. It's like that story with the Oregon baby harvesting and all that. You know, they don't want to share these because, and by the way, those are numbers from this week. As of today, the White House just released these numbers today. You know, so these incredible things that President Trump is doing, the baby and organ harvesting story, ridding Memphis of crime, and I've seen a lot of people putting videos on X, and there's been a lot of videos from TikTok on X of people inside Memphis that are talking about how crime-free it is now. Unfortunately, the language, they say some things I can't say or play, so I haven't been able to play them. But here we have, I mean, this is amazing. And I haven't seen any national stories covering Memphis. Have you? I've seen some local news stories out of Tennessee. I've been seeing things coming out of some conservative places, but none of the national media, because he's doing to Memphis what he did to D.C. He's making it a crime-free city. Now, I want to ask you this. Are you or someone you know in pain? Go see Dr. Appleton, guys, and say bye-bye to your pain. You know, his robotic laser treatment is so amazing. And the robotic laser, it's not just any old laser, it's a robotic laser. And Dr. Appleton performs all the treatments himself, by the way, not an assistant. The robotic laser actually moves around the entire part of the body that's being treated. What the laser does, it's completely painless. You don't even feel it. There's no surgery, no shots, no injections, no medicine. What the robotic laser does is repair the damage that causes the pain. So like my shoulder, all right? Dr. Appleton was able to pinpoint, when he examined me, the part of my shoulder where the pain was coming from. So he starts with the laser there, and then the robotic laser moves around the entire shoulder, the spot in the front, the side, the top, behind, and treats the entire area and repairs the damage. Same with every other body part that I've been treated with. When the arthritis in my finger, it was the same thing. And it works. He's rid me of pain 7 times. And let me tell you, these were hardcore pains where sometimes I just wanted to go to sleep. Okay? Give Dr. Appleton a call. We have had listeners travel from all over the United States to see Dr. Appleton. He's that good. It works. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome. And the consultation is free. So you walk in with no appointment, and the consultation is free. So take advantage of that consultation. It's completely free. It won't cost you anything. Talk to Dr. Appleton. He'll share with you what his robotic laser away pain treatment can do for you. And by the way, he's open on Saturdays as well. Here's his number, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710, and online, AppletonCairo.com.
Are you feeling stiff, struggling with balance, or low energy? You're not alone. How would you like to restore your strength, flexibility, and your confidence without leaving your chair? Of course you would, but how? And where do you even begin? It is possible. You just need the right help and guidance. And that's what you will find in the new book from author Andrea Wood, Chair Yoga for Seniors Over 60, available on Amazon. Author Andrea Wood is a highly respected fitness and wellness expert with over a decade of professional experience in yoga, Pilates, and holistic health. She's helped thousands of people just like you of all ages rediscover movement, vitality, and joy, especially older adults. Chair Yoga for Seniors Over 60 will show you how to improve your balance and posture, how to strengthen your muscles, relieve joint pain, boost energy, and even lose weight. With 50 simple chair yoga exercises, step-by-step illustrations, and exclusive video tutorials, you will gain the confidence in each and every move, safely and comfortably. This isn't about difficult poses or gym memberships. It's about living younger, stronger, and healthier, one gentle stretch at a time. Start your journey right now and order your copy of Chair Yoga for Seniors Over 60 from author Andrea Wood. Available right now on Amazon in paperback and Kindle.
On the line, we have Bruce. Bruce is a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He heard me talking with Joe Thomas about annuities and what a great deal they are, and he went in with his wife, and now he's a client. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas.
A fine gentleman. We sat down with Joe, and we explained everything to him, and we brought all our information, and he worked everything out great.
The cool thing about annuities is your money's never at risk. You're guaranteed a revenue stream for the rest of your life, but there's a bonus, really a signing bonus, where you can make a boatload of money before you even leave Joe Thomas's office. Can you talk a little bit about that, Bruce?
Well, that's where I was surprised when we sat down. We talked about the bonuses, and to my amazement, it was 10%, and there was even another one that's bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. So you made 10% on your money before you even got back in your car.
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was great.
Listen, guys, do what Bruce did. Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. You can set up a free consultation either on the phone or in the office, and Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999, and online at jupiterjoe.com. All right, Bruce, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Brian.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Oliver, and I am from Lincoln, Nebraska.
All right, Lincoln, Nebraska. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to see how you were feeling about some of the pardons that Trump's been handing out.
Mm-hmm. Give me an example.
George Santos.
Oh, no, I suppose that's awesome. That's a great one. You know why he was sent to prison? He committed 2 crimes. You know what they were?
What were they?
Well, you seem to be opposed to his pardon, so you must know what his crimes were if you're opposed to the pardon.
Well, I mean, did he not commit fraud? And also,
this is comical. How can you be opposed to the George Santos pardon and not even know what he was accused of?
Okay, so you're going to tell me that he didn't do anything wrong?
I didn't say anything. I'm just saying you are opposed to something that you're not even aware of. You probably got your phone out doing some Googling or something right now, so you could try to sound like you know something.
Talking to you on the phone.
Well, yeah, you got a computer or another device. You're probably doing some searching, but you're opposed.
No,
you're opposed to something, and you don't even know. So how do you know that he should not have been pardoned if you don't even know what he was accused of? Oh my goodness! You didn't think this call through too much, did you?
Did he not get charged and found guilty of crimes, and then did Trump not?
Did he get charged and found guilty of crimes? I've got news for you. And 99.9% of all pardons, the person was charged and convicted of something. Not all of them, but convicted of something. But you're opposed to something, and you don't even know what he did or was accused of doing. I'm shocked.
99.9% of pardons?
Most people that are pardoned, I made that number up, but most people that get to be pardoned, you have to have either committed. Hold on a second. To be pardoned, you don't just like you or I haven't done anything or been accused of. I can't get. You don't pardon people unless they've either done something, been accused of something, or convicted of something. Some people have been, like President Nixon was pardoned by President Ford. He wasn't charged or convicted. Hunter Biden got some pardon for dad. He was convicted of some things. He got pardoned from dad. So it can be both. But if you don't pardon people who haven't been accused or charged or convicted. But you don't even know what he did. Now, you might come up with something now because you've had some time to do some searching, but you must feel foolish.
Well, no, it's just
You don't feel stupid?
that you're trying to. You're mad that I don't know the exact charges, but you know that you're wrong in supporting somebody.
No, not at all. You don't know the charges. You called in. You called in.
Completely fine.
Excuse me. How do you know that the pardon isn't the right? If you don't know what he was convicted of, how do you? Excuse me. You're on hold. If you don't know what he was accused of, how can you take issue with whether or not the pardon should have been given or not? He hung up, by the way, guys. He hung up on his own. I understand. He felt stupid, and he should feel stupid. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I was surprised. He sounded like a guy that knew something. I thought that, when a lot of times, when you're talking to liberals, they have talking points. And a lot of them don't have anything beyond the talking point. It's like trying to have a conversation with a telemarketer that has a script. My goodness. Oh, boy, oh, boy. So, Mom Donnie looks like he's going to be the mayor. Listen to this. This guy's got a lot of nerve.
To be Muslim in New York is to expect indignity.
Well, there's a little dog back there. Is that Curtis Sliwa's little dog? You remember we went to vote with that little dog? The indignity is him. I mean, this is, this guy who won't condemn the Intifada. We haven't heard him make any comments on 9/11 or his feelings on that. And remember, 9/11 was a part of the Intifada. So, in effect, he hasn't condemned 9/11. And we're supposed to be concerned about his Muslim friends. All right, the number to call in is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. If you're watching live on YouTube, the number is pinned in the live chat. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm a Trump supporter. I have a question for you. The Democrats are upset that George Santos was pardoned, but they're not upset that the January 6th committee was a pre-pardon.
That's correct. Yeah, like Liz Cheney. The January 6th committee got pardons. Didn't Adam Schiff get a pardon for something too? Seems like he did. Yeah, I know. Just little old George Santos. Yeah, you make a good point, caller. Yeah, I mean, these people are out of their minds. I mean,
and the whole Biden family got pre-pardoned going back to 2014, where President Trump was investigating all that. So that doesn't make any sense.
Biden pardoned his siblings, his brother and sisters. He gave pardons. His brother and sister got pardons from him. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and real quick, and Joe Biden didn't he pardon convicted criminals who did bad things to kids?
Yeah, and if you remember, Obama let those terrorists out of prison in exchange for that Bergdahl deserter, and then those terrorists went off to kill people. I mean, come on.
Joe Biden, I believe, got our basketball player back, and he let that what's his name? That one killer who deals arms and stuff, right?
Yes, the arms dealer. Yeah, the biggest arms dealer in the world that he traded for for Brittany Griner, right? The Merchant of Death. Yeah. He traded the Merchant of Death for Brittany Griner. Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And in a written document, I think Jim Jordan exposed Jack Smith for planning. Sorry, I started.
That's okay. You're doing fine.
At his raid, didn't he?
I said it's fine. I can tell you're upset. Yeah, I'm upset too. I mean, we've got this great president, who's doing like this baby organ harvesting operation that he shut down. He's doing the work of a saint, and they call in with this garbage. We're all upset. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absurd.
Yeah. Yeah, and then another thing, I believe Harry Truman, didn't he destroyed like the inside of the White House and stuff. And
he gutted the entire White House.
It?
And if you remember, let me answer these calls while we're talking. You know, on the thing of pardons, remember when Bill Clinton pardoned those Puerto Rican terrorists, and so that the Puerto Rican vote would go for Hillary when she ran for the Senate in New York? And there were those Hasidic Jews that did what did they do? He gave a pardon to a bunch of Hasidic Jews to get the vote of this one town in New York for Hillary Clinton when she ran for Senate. I mean, that was hardcore pay for play on those pardons to get Hillary elected to the Senate.
And Bill Clinton's brother was a convicted felon, or his brother-in-law, and he got pardoned, didn't he?
Hugh Rodham and Hugh Rodham. And his brother, what was Bill Clinton's brother's name? I just forgot his name. Anybody remember Bill Clinton's brother? The one that said that Bill Clinton has a nose like a vacuum cleaner. Remember that? He was on video. He was on tape saying, my brother's got a nose. He was doing cocaine, Bill Clinton's brother, and they got him on tape. And he said, my brother's got the nose of a vacuum cleaner. These are great people. And they were giving pardons out to, God, what was Bill Clinton's brother's name?
Off the subject, we were accused of strong-arming Ukraine, but Joe Biden said on tape, here's $1 billion, or the Ukraine president, right? He was strong-arming him.
By the way, you're right, Roger Clinton. That's right. Yeah, and Roger Clinton, thank you very much. He not only did what you said about Joe Biden is correct, he was bragging about it on C-SPAN. They said, oh, you can't do that. You're not the president. He says, call up Barack. Yeah, Billy Carter and Roger Clinton, winners. Yeah, remember? I don't know if you remember. I don't know how old you are, but Billy Carter, who was Jimmy Carter's brother, he took was it $80,000 or $180,000 in cash from Saudi Arabia? You know, these people are so corrupt, and they're hating on President Trump, who's doing the work of a saint.
And for Argentina, that's our ally. $40 billion. That's fine with us. But we gave the Democrats gave. I ran billions of dollars, and every day they chant, I'm back to America. So I don't understand.
Well, we haven't. That President Trump has not given $1 to Argentina. That story is not true.
Okay.
That's a total fake story.
Okay. I was misinformed.
Hey, you're not the only one. Don't feel bad. I've had calls from a lot of MAGA people this week about that. It's not true. He hasn't given them, and he's not giving them money at all.
And you know, in our military, about these boats, I have a question. Maybe a couple of them are fisher boats, but I don't know. You know, what I mean, I have a question on that one.
What the drug boats?
Yeah, I have a question, and I'm 50-50.
If you watch on YouTube, I pulled up a picture of one of the boats they blew up. This boat, it's filled with, it's got like 3 guys in it, no fishing poles, no fishing seats, and it's got a whole bunch of barrels that has fentanyl in it. I mean, come on. These are not fishing boats. These are drug cartel boats. This is like the days of Miami Vice.
Okay, I meant to go look back on that video, but like I said, I'm a Trump supporter, so... No,
you're good. No, and by the way, welcome. Have you called me before?
No, it's my first time. It's because, real quick, I have a stuttering problem, and I'm insecure.
Oh, please, you're doing great. Are you kidding? You're a great caller. Are you new to the show?
All the time, yes.
Great. Well, thanks. Well, welcome and call again. You make a lot of good points, and you're jogging my memory on some things that I'd forgotten about. Yeah, you brought up a lot of good examples.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, please. Yeah, call again. Great caller. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Darlene from Northern Kentucky.
Hey, Darlene.
I know I know y'all have kind of moved on to a different topic of conversation. I just wanted to clarify the situation about George Santos. He was not pardoned. He was given a commutation.
That's correct.
Sentence.
That's correct.
Because he was sentenced way.
Well, I had two beats. I was going to go with that caller. That was one of them, but I didn't get to the second beat. I was going to save that for the next. I was going to save that for the second George Santos caller, but that's okay. Yeah, and there's another thing too. But when I realized he didn't even know what he was charged or convicted of, I didn't want to waste my material. You know. Do you think that guy felt pretty stupid, didn't he? That caller had.
I think he probably did.
Oh yeah.
That's why he hung up.
He hung up. Yeah, I know.
Enjoy your show. Thanks a lot.
All right, appreciate the
Bye-bye.
call. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing the one of the drug boats they blew up. We blew up another boat today. That you're telling me those are fishing boats? I mean, I'm in Florida. There's boats everyone's got. I've never seen a fishing boat without any fishing poles, nowhere to sit. Where's the angler sit? And with barrels of fentanyl. Oh my goodness. Now, if you would like to support my channel, become a Patreon supporter. You know, if you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to some really cool stuff that only Patreon supporters have access to. One is commercial-free editions of all my podcast episodes. That's one. And another thing, which is new, just started this a week ago today because it's something that's new, available to me on Patreon. On the Patreon platform itself, I do live streams, and it's live streams just like here on YouTube with a live chat. And it is a troll-free zone. So when I'm live streaming on Patreon, it's exclusive to Patreon supporters. And you have a chat room just like you do here on YouTube, and you can participate. And it's a nice troll-free zone. We have a good time there, and I live stream there all the time. I've done 2 live streams just today on Patreon. So become a Patreon supporter. You get access to all of that. Plus, if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode of the program. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SF Jr., Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, Lee Zepp, Shauna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, and Doris. These are my top Patreon supporters. There's a link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're tuned in on to my Patreon page, or you can go directly to the website, patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. All right, become a Patreon supporter and get all of those cool things. Yeah, that's certainly no fishing boat. I wanted to play, though, we were talking about the Bidens. Did you see this interview with Joe Manchin? Joe Manchin, remember this? The senator? Listen to this.
Then sure enough, 1 month they come back with BBB.
Yeah.
Build Back Better. Now they're talking $6 trillion. That bill was $10 trillion if it was a penny. With all the revamping, I couldn't get there, guys. And I told him, I said, Mr. President, I'm sorry. Man, I can't get there. And they tried for 8 months, beat up me. I mean, I had to have security.
Well, what is that like? Like, what does the pressure campaign look like? It's because it's not just the president, exactly as you write in the book. It's people showing up at the House. It's people with little kayaks with protest signs around your boat. It's pretty intense.
It's pretty intense, Shamat, but I can tell you one thing. When every day the Capitol Police call you and says your death threats are serious enough right now, so we have to have, we'll meet you down at where you live and we'll bring you to work and we'll take you back home. Things are pretty serious. I never wanted to know the extent, but I knew they were serious. And then one time they said, this is really getting serious now because now we got things. They know where your children go to school. They know where your grandchildren are, where your kids live. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is crazy. And then I had a bunch of boaters come down, canoers. I got attacked by canoes. And I just said, guys, listen, we just disagree. It was all climate people. And I said, listen, I want a clean climate. I just know we need energy to run our country, and there's got to be a balance. And so I said, come up to my office. They said, what? I said, come to my office tomorrow. We can sit and talk. You don't have to be out here in the water. But they thought that was the show they put on. But they came the next day. We talked. We agreed to disagree on some.
So here you have Joe Manchin. I mean, the story, this is on the All In podcast that he was on. It really shows you how bad these Democrats are. Here they are threatening him, and not just him, but also his family, because he's not voting in favor of this Biden bill. That's how the Democrats roll, and they're violent even against their own when they don't go in lockstep. They say, we're in a call. You don't do what they want, and they're threatening you and your children. Now, this press conference the president had yesterday, there were a lot of things. The baby organ harvesting story, that came from that. It was a great press conference. Listen to this. This is the president in an exchange with Caitlin Collins, lipless Caitlin Collins over on CNN.
Person. A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty.
This is on the crypto billionaire pardon that President Trump signed off on this week.
Person. A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything. That what he did, well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing, you fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime, that he was
You know, I love how we dress down Caitlin Collins. But, you know, President Trump, talk about transparency, right? I mean, pretty much every day of the week, President Trump is out there taking all the questions on all the big issues, right? It's no holds barred. I mean, he's answering everything. And these reporters, they can't handle it because he's on the right side of everything. Here he is in this press conference. He's talking about they're asking him about the money that he raised for the ballroom.
Have you raised the full $300 million needed to fund your ballroom? And how much specifically are you donating to this construction
raised,
project?
I think $350 million. So all donor money and money that we put up, we've raised. It's going to be. It's going to cost right in the neighborhood of $300 million. It's been expanded and
that's awesome.
Made absolutely. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, I think.
And how much specifically are you donating to it personally?
How much am I donating? I won't be able to tell you until I finish, but I'll donate whatever's needed. I'll tell you that.
Don't you love that? Have you ever seen a president spend 10 cents on anything at the White House? And he's spending an unlimited amount of his own money, plus the private donors. It's amazing. And they hate him for it. You hear them talking? I mean, they can't stop going on about this. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Nick. I'm calling from Portland, but I just want to let you know I want to listen and watch, but all the videos you
if you're watching, no, hold on.
It may just be me, or they're very quiet.
Hold on.
I just wanted to give
well, hold on.
Listen
for a second. Listen for a second. If you're watching on the live stream with the green behind me, to see and hear all the audio and videos that I'm sharing, you have to go to my main live stream, and there's a direct link to it in the description of the video. Click that description. It'll take you right to it. All right?
All right. Appreciate that. Sorry for interrupting, guys.
No, you're not interrupting. I wanted to let you know. Go check it out. The link's in the description. No, I don't mind that at all. Well, there's a couple other things I want to bring. Oh, yeah, this is another one. I mean, the thing, what was going on in this country the last few years? I don't know how this country has survived as being the largest economy in the world all these decades with everything that the liberals have been doing. I just really don't know how they've done it, how the country has maintained this, because all they've done is steal the money. They're concerned about all this private money that President Trump has raised for the ballroom, yet they've stolen $1 quadrillion. I know quadrillion's not a real number, but the number that they've stolen from the Treasury over the decades is so high, it's insane. Dr. Oz was on Fox Business today. Listen to this.
There have been accusations by the Democrats that that's not really a thing, that money from the federal government's not going to illegal immigrants. Maria, just in the last few months, in the few states that we've examined, less than half a dozen, we've identified more than $1 billion with a B, more than $1 billion of money, federal tax dollars that have gone to illegal immigrants. We're actually clawing that money back from those states now. But the fact that that could still happen is very frustrating to all of us. And why would you want to repeal that after all the work that was put into ensuring that these programs that work so well for vulnerable populations would remain intact financially?
I mean, isn't that crazy? And by the way, that's not nationwide. He said that's in less than half a dozen states. They've already found $1 billion that they were spending on illegals. Isn't that something? I mean, that is truly amazing. And we're getting the country back on track. Now, if you're in the state of Florida, Boy, your roof's important, isn't it? I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. You know, he's been with us for a long time, for many years on the radio, and he's a sponsor here of my podcast and everything. He does incredible work, and he's a good MAGA guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. And I got news for you. He's the only roofer I've ever heard of who says such a thing. They all want to sell you a new roof. I've had issues. Before I knew Tom Laporta, I've had issues after hurricanes where I needed a repair. I couldn't find anyone who would do the repair. They all said the same thing. We don't do repairs. We only do replacement of roofs. So they're out there selling you a new roof when you don't need a new roof. Not Tom Laporta. He's a good guy. If you need a simple repair, he will do it. He covers the entire state of Florida, the East Coast, the West Coast of Florida, everywhere in between. He works on every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, even does church roofs. That's right. Works with every type of roofing material, and he can handle a job of any size. One home, one office building, one government complex, or an HOA that has over 450 units. He can handle it all. He's been voted best roofing company in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is amazing because that's ground zero for hurricane country. You know how many roofers we have in South Florida? More roofers probably than anywhere else in the world. And he was voted best roofing company in Fort Lauderdale. He gets all the hurricanes. That's amazing. You can call or text Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. Give him a call. Make sure you tell him I sent you. All right. This one, I hope this happens. This crazy man, Jack Smith, who's completely insane. They're calling him in to testify in front of Congress. He wants it to be on television. I hope that happens. You know, they do this thing with these congressional hearings that just bugs the you-know-what out of me. They do this closed-door hearing, and then after they're done with those, then they do kind of like do-overs on television. They should all be on television. We need to have everything out there public for us to see. But this guy, Jack Smith, who was behind the break-in of Mar-a-Lago, this guy is a bad man. He's completely insane. Remember his wife was a producer of a documentary on Michelle Obama. I mean, he's completely insane, and he's so insane. He thinks he is in the legal and moral position. The man who led the break-in of Mar-a-Lago, okay, and he wants them to question him on television. Oh, I hope that happens. The guy's nuts, and he's a bad dude. And doing it on television, he's going to look like a nut. It's going to be exciting. I hope they do that. Now, if you're new to my program, make sure that you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. The Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. So wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast platform you go to for your podcast, you can find me and do binge listening. There, just search for The Brian Craig Show. If you want to catch the podcast in video form or catch it live where you can call in, go to YouTube or YouTube Music and search The Brian Craig Show on YouTube or YouTube Music. And if you subscribe there, and you'll know and be able to catch the show in video form, and also be able to call the podcast as well if you'd like, and catch it live. All right, that's The Brian Craig Show on all podcast platforms, including YouTube and YouTube Music. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.